Right, I think we'll make a start. So again, thank you very much for joining us. We're having to do our new nursery parents induction meeting in this virtual way because of the current situation. So just to introduce myself, I'm Mr. Sutton. I'm the executive head teacher for Orchard. I'm also the head teacher for Alban Wood as well. We work in a federated partnership with each other. And joining us in the presentation also from school is Miss Woodland. So I'm just going to let her introduce us.
Hello, I am Miss Woodland. I am the early years leader at the Orchard Primary School. So I also teach in the reception class, but I kind of look after the 2 reception classes and the nursery class. So I'm sure you'll be seeing lots of me throughout the year. And I'll hand back over to Mr. Sutton, but I have got some bits to go through with you later on.
Thank you very much. That's lovely. So we're going to try and recreate what we would have done if we'd been able to invite you into school for an induction meeting. And then also show you how we do things slightly different, but hopefully to enable you to get the experience and all the answers to, I'm sure, some questions you might have. So just starting off, I'm going to move on to some key things and hopefully some of the reasons you've chosen to send your child to our nursery is around our vision, our values and our aims. And we really use these things to drive our curriculum and to drive what we do with your child. So particularly our vision is where we want to see children physically, creatively and academically fit for life. And this really does start when your child enters nursery, right from what they're doing in a physical way, how they're engaging in their learning through play in a creative way, and also in already at the age they are beginning and they're continuing their journey in terms of their learning in an academic way. So we drive these 3 things all the way through the school, right through the primary years, and we hope that children can then take some of what they've got from us on into their secondary school and beyond, particularly with the values, respect, resourcefulness, trust, resilience, reflection, integrity. Again, these are really important and will stand them in really good stead as they move on up to secondary school and into adult life as well. And you can see some of our aims that we work within. And again, that helps us form our strategy, our school improvement plans in terms of where we lead the whole school. That information is also available on our website as well. And then one thing, I can see some parents' names, so some parents will have heard me talk about this before. We do expect a very high standard of attendance, even from our nursery children. It's really important they get as good start to their schooling as possible. And you have chosen a nursery environment within a school. So it's the same policy for our nursery children. We want them here 96% or higher for their time. Now, we do understand that occasionally children are off because they are sick or there are very exceptional reasons why they might need to stay off. But any requests for absence have to be made in writing to the school, and the attendance policy is part of the pack of information that is available on our website. So I would say, getting them into a habit of wanting to attend school and wanting to be here as much as possible will really do their getting them off to a good schooling start and beyond and into adult life. That work ethic, that ethic of, yes, we do get ourselves out of bed in the morning and we go to school, and then in future life we go to work. That's what we want to instill within the children that are coming through Orchard. So it is one of our priorities that we do encourage a really high level of attendance. Now I'm going to move straight into the fact that normally you would have come into school and into the hall and you would have picked up a whole wad of information, a big pack. What we can't do that this year due to the restrictions that we're not allowed to bring people onto site unless it's for absolute exceptional reasons. Therefore, we've created a dedicated page off our school website, our Orchard website here, under the parents, then the admissions, and there's a tab called Induction. What we've done is we've just digitized everything and put it online for you. So this top box are all files which may need completing by you and returning to school. So they're there in Word document format to maybe help some of you complete them digitally directly if you want to, or you may just print them out and fill them in as well. Ideally, we would like these documents to be returned electronically to admissions at Orchard. This is really going to help and speed up the process. You can scan documents, you can take photographs of documents and send them, or if necessary, a hard copy by either placing it in the post or by popping it into school. We do have a large post box just outside on the main front gate, or you just pop into school if absolutely necessary and press the buzzer. Somebody will be able to get your pack off you that way. Just to run through what some of the documents are, we do have to hold quite a lot of information on you. So very important, there's one about administering medicine. So if your child requires any sort of medicine, either on an ongoing basis, or even if it came to a particular time, you would need to complete that form and allow us consent to allow that medicine to be given in school. The child's confidential information record is all the information we need to put on our school database. We have a lot of information we need to hold that so we can communicate with you effectively, and we can also store information against the child effectively. The image consent form is because under data processing and data protection regulations, there is no automatic consent for us to be able to photograph your child. Therefore, you have to give us active consent in order for that to happen. This is really important, especially in early years, because we use a piece of software called Tapestry, where the early years staff can share with you some of the learning developments that the children will have been taking part in, and we can't use or take their photograph if you've not given us consent. So please do look at that and allow us to have consent for that. Some of you may be eligible under certain benefits to receive some additional money for your child while they are in nursery. This is regarded as the early years pupil premium. So again, if you think it might be you, have a look at the document. It talks about the benefits that you have to be receiving. And then if you fill that document in, that will help us receive that money. And obviously, any additional money is really welcomed at the moment in schools, because it's obviously a very difficult time at the moment for school funding. All children in nursery are allowed free milk, but we would never give milk to anybody automatically, because we know some children have allergies against milk, etc. So again, we need active consent that you would like that milk to be given. So that's what the nursery milk letter is all about. There's an introduction from our PTA, and it allows you to fill that in if you think you would like to get more actively involved. Our PTA are amazing, and they raise a lot of money for the school. And I can even see one of our PTA members joined with us actually actively at the moment, so I'm sure she would agree. So we really want, even when new parents join in nursery, for you to feel you can get actively involved in the full life of the school, and the PTA do a great job in terms of fundraising, putting events on, just sometimes allowing children to have fun, and not always about fundraising, but it does allow for those additional extras that really we wouldn't have the money otherwise to do. So that is an important thing to consider getting involved with. The next one is about pupil online safety. And I know some people have said, oh, but it's only a nursery age child. I can pretty much guarantee for a lot of you, your child would already have been on the internet. They'd already have been on a device and looking at things. We have a duty to ensure pupils' online safety in school, but it also covers a scope of about being at home as well. So please have a look at that, and you're signing it on behalf of your pupil, that you will abide by the certain rules and guidance that we're putting in place, and then it's there for them even as they come through school as well, so we don't ask you to keep doing it. And then there's a school trip visit form, this even covers us for if nursery just want to go maybe outside of the school grounds, just for a walk to the post box or to see what's going on outside, or to the park opposite. We don't do that unless you've given us active consent to take your child out of school. It would also cover us if nursery to arrange a trip, say in a coach somewhere, we would already have consent for that. Yes, we'd be letting you know about it, but it just means we know we've already got the consent, and then that can sit on the child's file as well. So these top documents are all documents that the office want back as soon as possible. Normally, if this had been the meeting in the hall, we would have you filling them in right now in the hall before you leave. So please try and do those as soon as possible and as quickly as possible, and certainly within 1 week, so the office can start to process all of that information. The next section on the website is documents for you to read and keep. You really do not need to print these out. They will stay on the website for now, and you can refer back to them. Some of them are a few pages long, but they're things that cover some of the policies the school works under and some general information. So we've got a letter about absence, which talks about the requirement placed upon me. I can only authorise exceptional reasons for absence in line with the Department for Education's guidelines. It talks about our attendance. We've got an attendance policy, and I've mentioned a little bit about attendance just before this. I will just need to go and turn my light on because it turns off automatically because I've not moved. Better. So I've done attendance. And then in terms of school uniform, we're unfortunate we can't obviously have the school uniform shop in school, but there's their information leaflet there. And I've got another slide on uniform in a minute just to confirm that they are still operational even during this coronavirus time. So I'll pick back up on that. We've got our behaviour policy that talks about how we positively reward children, but also how we might deal with sanctions or inappropriate behaviour. A little bit about change of clothing. Obviously, we understand that children in nursery may have a few issues with toileting, etc., and it just has some information, again, with the toilet training. There is a booklet that's been put together by Miss Woodland and her team. I'm really just giving you a lot of the practical information about the early years and how some of the things happen. So again, you could just take a little bit of time to read that and take that on board. Some general information about being ready for school. Our medical needs policy, that does talk about how we do cater for children with various medical needs. And again, I'd say if your child has any actual medical need, you need to be flagging that up to us ASAP. So we can, it may need some intervention from either our safeguarding team or maybe from our special educational needs coordinator, depending what the issue might be. And the sooner you communicate that back to us, that's really helpful. We are quite a large site with various entrances and cars on the road can be an issue. So we have a little leaflet about you can do park and stride using St Mark's Church car park. We have a couple of what are called privacy notices. This is to comply with the data protection regulations. We have to let you know what information we collect from you and on behalf of your child, how we process that and who we may need to share that with. So that's a legal requirement for us to be able to just notify you on that. Our term dates for next year and our uniform policy. We do have uniform from nursery upwards. But I think you'll either hear from others or you'll see in the early years booklet that obviously the main thing with nursery is comfortable, certainly trousers on the bottom in terms of things they can get on and off easily when they're toileting, and you'll see the uniform colours, etc. And nursery, just in case you see it anywhere, they don't need a PE kit, so they won't need the house t-shirt. So the bottom half are documents for you to just read at your leisure, refer to when you need. They don't need to be printed out. And the documents at the top are ones that we may need returned from you, certainly all the data collection forms. Right, I'm going to move on. Right, I mentioned uniform just a minute ago, and we use Beat School uniforms. They're a local supplier. They actually have their own shop just down the road on Sandringham Road, I think. And this is currently a screenshot from their website showing you the sort of items of uniform they provide for Orchard. And this is their current sort of up-to-date coronavirus message to you. So that's the most recent information, but you can also just go to their website, Beat School Uniforms, and you'll see how you can get uniform ready for your child to start in September. A couple of little pointers I always point out. I know you may have a very young child in nursery, but we are a school nursery. We're not a daycare nursery with lots of additional staff with younger children. And we do not have the time to potty train your child. That is not a school responsibility either. It is a parent one. It is a parenting responsibility to potty train your child. And it really needs to be done before they start school. It's very difficult for the staff if they have to keep interrupting what they're doing with the children and the learning, if they have to deal with accidents to do with children wearing nappies, etc. So I'd please say, you know, you've chosen us as a school. This is one of our requirements. If you're not quite there yet, or you've even not started it, I tell you, with this nice weather, no better time than to do it now. Perfect, then it will all be ready in preparation for September. The second bullet point is really crucial on safeguarding and child protection. We have to know who is collecting your child at the end of the day. Preferably, it is somebody who you have allocated on your child's database, and you'll have done that on the child's data collection form. So yourself as a parent, another parent, a grandparent, or an auntie, if they regularly collect the child, then it's more helpful if you can indicate that on that form, and we hold their details on our database and we can always check that. If something happens and you suddenly need a friend to collect your child, etc., and you've not notified school, we will hold on to your child and we won't let them go. It can become a little bit embarrassing, but we have to do that under child protection and safeguarding regulations until we can actually check out from yourself or another family member that the person who's come to collect your child is allowed to take them. The third bullet point, I'm sure you'll understand, we have an awful lot of children on site, and you do need to name all clothing. You know, jumpers get taken off, cardigans get taken off, bags, etc. You know, please, you're going to spend money on clothes and uniform. Please do name everything. It doesn't take that very long to do it, and it really helps us out because we don't like not being able to return the right clothing to the right children. And we do have potentially 478 children currently on roll. That's a lot of children. So get in the habit now and ensure that all items of clothing are named. The fourth bullet point is really around the two reasons why we do insist that your child has to be off school for 48 hours, or the 2-day rule, as a lot of parents will say, and that's for sickness and diarrhea. And that's because these can very easily spread around, particularly in early years setting, and we don't want that to happen. I know at the moment we're in a period of really teaching children to wash their hands very regularly and have really good hand hygiene. But even, you know, under normal situations, if they've been sick under a sick bug or diarrhea, they do need to stay off for 48 hours or school 2 days from the last time of the incident. That's to protect all concerned, and I'm sure you'll really appreciate that is actually required. Right, now we're nearly at the point, and I will in a minute just be handing over to Miss Woodland so she can talk just a little bit more generally about early years and nursery. But obviously we're not able to allow you to physically come into school and meet the nursery teacher and the early years team. So the nursery teacher has produced a video a welcome video that you can watch, which is currently and will be available still on our website, where they just welcome you and talk about some specifics of the class and routines. And you should also have received today, or you will be receiving today, a letter that details the more specifics about the start in September. Nursery would normally do nursery visits. They're not able to do that currently. So instead, you'll get an opportunity to come and do a visit in school at the start of September, meet the nursery teacher and staff, bring your child along, let them see the environment, and then you've actually got a start date as well. So I'm going to now just hand over to Miss Woodland to share a few more bits of information with you.
Brilliant. Hi, so yes, I said hello at the start of the video, so just in case any of you missed that, I am Miss Woodland. I am the early years leader. I actually teach in reception, but I kind of monitor both nursery and the reception classes at Orchard. So first thing, as Mr. Sutton said, obviously we can't welcome you in and meet you all in the school, so we have provided videos for you to go and look at. I know Mrs. Moore, our nursery teacher, has been busy doing that with some of the other earlier staff, so please make sure you have a look at that. That has information about the daily routine, bits and bobs you can expect next year. The second part, Mr. Sutton already mentioned too, is the fact you should have received or will be receiving a letter from Mrs. Moore at some point today. This includes some really important information. So on there, there'll be 2 dates. The first date is a date when you are welcome to come into nursery with your child and just have a kind of one-to-one meeting with Mrs. Moore, where she will find out some bits about your child, and you can ask some questions. It also gives your child an opportunity to see the nursery environment and understand, you know, what's going to be happening. The second date is your child's start date. These will differ from child to child because we like to do a staggered intake just to help your child settle in the best they can. Obviously, I know we have some children not starting till January, so I think their information is slightly different to that, but you will still receive the same opportunities. You'll still come in and meet Mrs. Moore and have those discussions. Apart from that, there's not much more to add on. I think Mr. Sutton said a lot of it. I mean, the biggest bits of advice from me would be to remember your spare clothes. We don't keep anything here, so if your child has an accident, which we fully expect, please make sure you've got spare clothes, otherwise we'll have to be ringing you up and asking you to come in. And the second piece of advice, again kind of mentioned, is make sure everything is named. We have 30 red jumpers in the classroom. If you want to see anything you bring into school, again, please make sure it has your child's name on it. And yeah, that's about all from me. I look forward to meeting you all next year. I will be around at kind of stay and plays and stay and reads, and I'm sure if you have any questions you can send them over to me and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Yes, I think that's everything.
Thank you very much, Miss Woodland. That's really good. So we're nearly at question time. So first of all, just for me to go back to required paperwork and the more mundane, we really do need this paperwork filled in ASAP. Mrs. Gaston in the office will be literally reviewing that email address at admissions at Orchard, ready to get all of that information put into our database. And then for any of the other bits of information, we might need to get various members of staff to get back in touch with you. So please do it as soon as you can, practically after this meeting now, and certainly no later than 1 week's time from today. The second thing is we do require, to comply with regulations, a copy of your child's birth certificate, which proves your child is who they are and they are the correct age. You can do that by just taking a photograph of your birth certificate and sending that in, and that would be fantastic. We also need proof of your home address, something like a utility bill or something, but it does need to be dated within the last 3 months. And again, this is to comply with admissions guidance, where we are confirming the address and where you live. So again, that can just be a photograph of something, and just send those into the admissions at Orchard, making it very clear which child the information relates to. And that will really help us if we don't have to do much chasing up. A lot of this we would normally have done if we were physically in the building. We'd be scanning and doing this right now. We're not able to do that. So if you can do this by helping us, by taking photographs, etc., that would be really appreciated. Obviously, if you have any issues with that and you prefer just to drop a copy of something in, again, we do have the post box at the main entrance, or you can buzz for somebody from the office just to come and meet you. So finally, we move on to questions. You still might have some questions that could be relevant for yourself and other parents. You can either do it now by typing a question into the chat box. Those questions will only come to me, so that they're not seen by everybody else, and I will address them accordingly to everybody. Or you can choose to unmute your microphone if you feel and ask a question that way. Or you may just feel that it's just a question on a one-to-one, and if that's the case, then feel free to either email admissions or use the school website contact form, and all of that information will come to myself or the relevant members of staff to get back to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to allow a little bit of time to see if anybody has got questions before we actually close and end the presentation. I've got one question about school uniform. In terms of, it can be for nursery children, jogging bottoms, absolutely fine, in dark colours. We really want the children to be comfortable in what they're doing and make it easy for them to try and be independent with their toileting. So absolutely, it can be. It could be a pair of shorts, it could be a pair of jogging bottoms, whatever you know is easy for your child. You don't need to send, I've been asked about, you don't need to send a photograph of your child. We just need consent to take images of your child, and that's their consent form. What we do need sent is a copy of your child's birth certificate, if that's maybe what you were thinking. And if you haven't got a utility bill, it just needs to be anything that proves your home address that's got a date within the last 3 months. So it could be a mobile phone bill, it could be council tax. I know they're all utility bills. I'm trying to think. It could be a bank statement. I don't need to see all your bank information. I just need to know that it's from an official source with your address and with the date. I've got a question about twins. So I presume you probably forgot the next bit of the question, but I think you probably meant, will they be in the same? We only have one nursery class, so twins would be together, wouldn't they, Miss Woodland, in nursery?
Yes, I've actually seen the twins on the register, and I'm aware of their twins, but you are right, there is only one nursery class, so yes, they are being kept together currently, yes.
Thank you. We'll keep going and see if we've got any more questions. We don't mind trying to answer what we can. A couple of people need to go because they've got other meetings, and that's absolutely fine. We've covered the presentation. You know, I do thank anybody who needs to go now. Again, I'll just wait another minute or so for any questions, and then I'll stop the recording and we'll end the meeting there. But thanks for everybody for attending. It has been great, and we do really look forward to actually seeing you in September if you're brand new to us, which is what we would have loved to have done. But not able to at the moment. I've got a question about shoes in nursery. Our uniform policy doesn't state they have to be actual school shoes. They could be just sort of black trainers or a comfortable black shoe. We prefer it to be comfortable. Even with our children higher up, they do the daily mile and other things, and sometimes they need something a bit more supportive. So as long as it's in a dark black virtual colour and it's not glaring out with multiple colours, then that's absolutely fine. Whatever you know works for your child, that is in keeping with the school uniform, but it doesn't actually have to be a school shoe.